Good morning. Hi, I'm Jason. I'm a senior networking consultant with XenTegra. And today's guests are LeeAnn and Kinney. We're so excited to really have a moment to discuss secure networking and specifically Cisco secure networking. LeeAnn?
Well, thank you for that lovely introduction, Jason. I am LeeAnn Larson. I'm a security solutions architect over here at XenTegra. Looking forward to talking to you folks about unpacking what secure network actually is in plain English with no buzzwords and no fluff. And we have Kinney from our lovely partner Cisco here. Kinney, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Leanne. Thanks, Jason. So I'm Kinney. I'm a solutions engineer with Cisco. Been with Cisco for 20 plus years. Prior to that, I was with a large financial. So I've seen a lot of changes within security and networking, and finally happy to say that we're converging the two together with secure networking, which is a way that we've always, really done it in the past anyway, but glad to see that we're explicitly calling it out now. So.
Great. Thank you so much. So at the highest level, you hear secure networking. Like what does that mean? And I guess it's a two-part question. And why is it important? Well, I have networking, I have security. Why is it important?
Yeah, Jason, those are some great questions. And I think we have to take a look at and see what the history of networking and security has come from, right? Networking means that, we at a high level, we want to provide access to the users to get access to their data, to their applications, etc. And with that access, we want to make sure that they're secure. So with secure networking now, we're bringing security into multi-layers of that access. And, we've heard terms like ZTNA, SASE, SSE, but again, let's take a look at the history of where we've come from. With implementing security, that means that we've implemented firewalls in the past, and we've had firewalls for a very long time. And what that provides us is implicit security. When we've extended the network out to VPNs, we still use that same firewall policy to help us secure that infrastructure. Well, in today's landscape, we have people working hybrid. We have people working from all different areas of the world, trying to get access to our data and our applications. We have applications that are, in the cloud now. How do we manage that access and still make it seamless for those users to access the right application, the right data at the right time? Well, that's where these technologies like Zero Trust, SASE, and SSE come to play and really helps us drive secure networking. And in very basic terms, we look at firewalls, that means that we've provided implicit security, meaning that, those policies are going to secure, a lot of different things from the application side and the user side of things, but they're very generalized. When we look at technologies like Zero Trust, SASE, and SSE, that's where we really move to explicit security and start customizing that security towards that user, towards that application, and towards that data to make sure that the user has access to only the information that they really need to get their job done. So hopefully that makes sense.
And actually, Kinney, I'll go a little bit further with that. My favorite way to explain zero trust
Yep.
is like a kid with a bathroom pass in school, just to make it more accessible. True zero trust security is like a super strict hall monitor who doesn't care if you've had the pass before or if you look trustworthy. Every time you want to go to the bathroom, you've got to show your pass and prove it's you, and maybe even say why you're going. It doesn't matter if you just went an hour ago, they're going to check every single time. They never assume anyone or anything is automatically okay to access the network. And Cisco Zero Trust, I'm very, very fond of because it really makes the user experience very smooth. It happens at an app level a lot of the time, so you get quick access to what you need without exposing the system like an old school VPN. It's a very easy to use client, and it doesn't make you juggle like multiple apps or deal with crazy laggy connections, which, zero trust ZTNA has become a huge buzzword. Unfortunately, with this many things out in the environment these days, you can have a subpar user experience. And Cisco actually, I hate to use a phrase, but they ate their own dog food and they tested it on their own employees before releasing it to the public.
Yep, great analogy, LeeAnn. And as a Cisco employee, I've accessed, we use Zero Trust, and like you mentioned, doesn't matter where in the world I am, it is a seamless experience. And that's key to implementing good security, right? Is making sure that the user is actually using it and their experience is seamless and good performance.
That's great. So if I were to think about, what you just covered, would it be basically security hardening at all of the touch points or the nodes within your IT environment? So it's no longer perhaps a hardened outer shell, and if I can get access through that, then I have free reign. Is it hardening within each kind of node or module, submodule within that ecosystem?
Yeah, absolutely, Jason. So it's not just that M&M anymore where you get the hard outer shell and then the gooey center. So we want that layered security at every aspect within that network now. So as we look at the different layers, you're going to have your firewall at that external layer, but then you're going to get very granular for those users. So you might use things like security group tags, SGTs, to define what they have access to, where they're going, what applications that they're using, so that they, they they have the information again that they need, but only to a certain level. For example, you might have somebody in HR that's using an application and they want, executive level or administrative or close to administrative access. And then you might have just an individual contributor that has a lower level access to that application. So we're managing that with our products and that security group tag to make sure that the proper people are in the proper groups to manage that security.
And also,
Thank you.
Cisco's been leveraging a lot of AI to do that, to make it both hardened and malleable at the same time.
Yeah, great point. Because AI, that is really a very hot topic in today's landscape. So how does like secure networking really address today's landscape in the AI arena, and how does it work with secure networking?
Yeah, so I'm going to jump right into that because AI.
I kind of figured you would.
AI is top of mind for so many people, and for bad players as well. But from a networking perspective, we just launched our new smart switches, which are built upon our Silicon One processors. And the importance to that, to AI, is that we're feeding a lot of telemetry into our devices. So we're gathering information from our smart switches, feeding it into our data lake. But from our data lake also, we're feeding all that into our AI engines and then pushing out security or latest security policies or telemetry information. So we're essentially securing these smart switches much better and quicker with AI. So We have organizations like Talos, which is constantly looking at threats out there in the internet. We're accessing that data, putting it through our AI engines, and automatically pushing it out to our devices or smart devices like or security products or networking switches, etc. So I'm going to stop there, but I want to go into this AI topic a little bit further, but I'll see if LeeAnn has any
I was
thoughts on
gonna,
this as well.
yeah, absolutely. The Silicon One processors are really, really amazing compared to like older off the shelf where you would literally have to swap engines in your car to go from city driving to highway driving, basically. The Silicon One is super high bandwidth for one, extremely low latency, so it can handle the AI, and it's also really programmable with P4. So I had to nerd out for a moment, sir. Thank you for opening the door. But yeah, definitely dive deeper into the AI side of the security part of the house.
Yeah, absolutely, LeeAnn. So Silicon One is a big differentiator for us on our networking products. So with that, we have co-processors built into the switches to be able to run third-party applications directly in the switch. There's over 350 plus applications that we can run. And we partner with a lot of third-party vendors out there to run those directly in the switch. But on the security side, what we can do is implement a product called Hypershield directly into the switch itself. And that is helping us with the AI security portion of it. So we're looking at kernel level types of security implemented in the switch. So we're looking at a lot of data and analyzing it as it goes through that switch, providing that telemetry to our ops people and to our security people to make sure that no funny stuff is going on within the network.
Wow, like that is really so interesting because now, your traditional switch that is some metal and some ports is considerably more than that in today's landscape, for sure. So if I have, all of these hardened nodes in my network now with secure networking, does that mean I've got, I don't know, multiple dashboards to command and control and to, manage all of those things? Like now this kind of makes me a little nervous because does it get infinitely more complex from a management or a dashboard perspective?
Yeah, the goal is to have that single pane of glass, Jason. So um, I'll say that we're getting better. It's not optimized yet, but with AI, we're making it a lot easier for people to manage their infrastructure. We have AI assistants built into our products or available for our products. And what that does is for a switch, you can use natural language now to help you administrate, configure, and manage that device. So, if you want to change voice VLAN, or if you want to change QoS on that particular switch, you would use natural language, and the AI would essentially convert that language into a configuration for you, and then have you review it and push it out automatically. But not only that, the AI assistant can constantly optimize your network. So as as traffic patterns change, and we're seeing AI usage change that traffic pattern in a lot of networks, the AI assistant can help you continually optimize your network. And then again, as I mentioned, that single pane of glass is something that we're striving to get to. there are products where we've just launched a product called AI Canvas. AI Canvas will allow us to bring in essentially telemetry information from multiple sources, from Cisco XDR, from Cisco security management products, and even third-party products. So if you're in an operations center and you're managing multiple vendors out there, AI Canvas can bring in this telemetry information, help you troubleshoot any of the issues that are going on within your network, but also help optimize your environment. So again, going back to that AI story, AI Canvas is going to help us from a management, configuration, operational and optimize our environment. So yeah, single pane of glass is something we strive towards. Probably never get there, but with the
From a
AI,
networking perspective, yeah, it's going to get a
yeah,
lot better. And I think
yep,
we're headed that way. But at least on the security side of the house, SecureX is it leverages AI pretty well to collect your firewalls and your endpoints, all your cloud goodness in Cisco.
yeah,
I worked with it a few times and it's really, really neat how intuitive it is and how granular you can get if you want, but you don't have to.
yep. And SecureX is one of those, more telemetry information that we could pull into AI Canvas, as well as XDR. So, yep, great
Well,
points,
that's
LeeAnn.
yeah, that's great because the single pane of glass and the ease of management by far, I think, is one of those ones that are very, very important from an operational standpoint. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit to
Yeah.
cake. Everyone loves cake, right? If secure networking was a cake, what are the core ingredients? The ones that are what are the ingredients for that cake? What are they're required, not optional? Because cooking and baking, you can add your core ingredients, but then you can go off recipe and alter it and sprinkle in some extras and some nice to haves. But I really, my question is what are those core ingredients for the secure networking cake in terms of best practices?
Yep. So best practices for building that networking cake. Um, Absolutely. It's going to be all about simplification. So you're going to have your networking switch. You're going to have your wireless. I can't remember the last time I actually plugged in a cable for access to the network, right? Then being able to manage that from an operational perspective is going to be another layer of that cake. So being able to provide easy configurations, then securing that network is just, yeah, I would say that's probably another foundational layer that we have within that cake. So
I was gonna say it's like those are the slices of cake inside, and then you gotta frost it with who's
yep,
connecting. And we gotta make identity-based access. We can't be just, okay, you're in this generic role anymore. It's the threat landscape is just too comprehensive, and we can also segment things like having walls in your house so you can't see what someone's doing in the bathroom, right? And then we have
yep,
secure service edge. You can combine like a secure web gateway, firewalls, even in the cloud for people working remotely. And that way everybody on your team could use, like, say, we all use Microsoft or Google or something like that securely if we have secure access in place. And then we get to that yummy center of the cake where the network and the endpoint integration comes in.
yeah, absolutely, LeeAnn. So and that's where that explicit security comes into play, right? So we're not just having one generalized security policy. We've got multiple layers of security policies for the different users, but making it seamless for them as well. So We want it to be transparent and easy for those users, because if it's not, they just won't use it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a great point. So speaking about using it, that's a great segue. I think you knew my next question. Do you have, or would you have an example of like a current case study um, of kind of their current environment, what secure networking really did to quote unquote fix it?
Yeah, so I'll give you a quick case story. One of them was in a hospital with a nurse call application. And, the nurse call applications are lifebloods of the hospital, because if you can't get it in touch with a nurse, and that nurse can't communicate with the central desk because they're making their rounds constantly, and they need to prioritize their patients. Well, those nurse call applications connect via wireless. Well, we were having trouble with the nurse call application. The wireless wasn't working well for them. And how do we really need, this is mission critical for that hospital. Um, with Cisco Spaces and with our controllers, we were able to go into that hospital, um, put up some access points, figure out what's going on with their wireless deployment. So we're getting all this telemetry information back and helping them determine, okay, are their APs deployed correctly? Are there other external circumstances that were causing issues with their wireless? And just to drive a couple of points deeper is that, you know, hospitals have a lot of concrete and they have a lot of steel, as well as elevator shafts. So that plays havoc.
As anybody who's ever tried to make a phone call in one of them can tell you.
Right. So that plays havoc with wireless. So with our APs, we were able to determine that we could optimize with our APs, we could optimize that wireless infrastructure for them, while also including additional security practices into their wireless. So being able to prioritize the wireless traffic for those nurses and their nurse call applications is priority one. And then two is hospitals have to be competitive. So when you're in there visiting with a patient, if you have a loved one in that hospital, you still want access to be able to access the internet, maybe work remote. And we have the ability to set up walled gardens very easily for the users in that hospital. So a lot of different people are in that hospital, from users visiting loved ones, vendors, contractors, etc. And we can implement security very seamlessly again with Cisco security and or products that can, again, very granularly manage all these different requests that are coming in.
Actually,
LeeAnn,
Kinney,
any
I was
comments?
going to say that that's a perfect seg, though. The biggest problem for any security person is not some black hat hacker trying to get into your network most of the time. I will say 85 to 90% of the time, it is misconfigurations. And I have a hospital case study where we had a chance to leverage more of Cisco's security. We had a client who was using Cisco ICE, Identity Services Engines. It's very, very cool tool and very, very granular if you want to be that way. They had one of their staff had plugged a laptop into a patient phone cord where they go in, and had connection to their entire network. We were able
Yeah.
to leverage further features on ICE and get their configuration straightened out. So now they are sound as a pound. They've got good segmentation going. You need to do health checks for the security side of the house. If I have any takeaway from this whatsoever, secure networking is amazing. You need to understand what you have and how it's configured, and always be doing health checks. A yearly pen test is not sufficient. But yes,
Yep.
we were able to actually leverage a little bit more of the ICE platform, and now they're looking at Duo, which is absolutely great. I love that for them.
Yeah,
That is so
perfect,
great.
LeeAnn. And
Such a great
just a quick plug in for our AI assistant. That's
Yes.
something that our AI assistant can constantly do for you is you can just ask it, hey, take a look at my network and analyze it for me and tell me what's wrong with it in
Be
natural
sure this is
language
doing the
terms.
things I want it to do, because, you can tell yourself, I think it's secure, but it never hurts to get verification.
Yep, for sure.
So as we start to, I guess, lower our elevation, start to land this episode, what's next? As far as in the context of, I know Kinney, you sounded really, really passionate about AI, but AI, I think traditionally we've hit our Chat GPT moment. The AI hit the boom, the peak of that technology, and now we're into the generative AI. But what's next in that AI context? As it relates to secure networking, like what's the next target? What's the next thing on the target line that's being aimed at?
Yeah, so Jason, we're starting to see quantum, within a lot of discussions out there. So, what are people going to do when we have quantum processors? And today's encryption, uh, can probably be easily cracked in that post-quantum world, which is, not on a lot of people's mind today. But think about all the data that's being harvested, being stored, um, being captured today. With current encryption standards, in current processing power, very difficult to try and crack today's encryption. But post quantum cryptography or post quantum, what's going to happen with that data, with that harvest now and decrypt later types of attacks? As quantum processing comes out, we want to make sure that people, the wrong players, aren't decrypting something that is encrypted today and very difficult to decrypt. So with Cisco, we've come out with post-quantum cryptography for our secure networking switches as well. So we're protecting the supply chain, making sure that the code base for our switches are post-quantum cipher, post-quantum protected, so that that supply chain of that code is not tampered with. And then the harvest now, decrypt later risk. So we're encrypting traffic with post-quantum cryptography, so that even if today's traffic is being collected through the network, you won't be able to decrypt it easily with post-quantum
Yeah, I
processing.
know it's baked into those Silicon One chips. That's one of the reasons they're so high performance.
Yep.
So they can handle lifting that without, putting all of that on a teeny weeny little processor.
Yep. Absolutely. So, and
And I
then,
do, say
uh,
I do appreciate that Cisco's been very proactive about AI governance. So, the harvest now, decrypt later model will be much harder to use in the future, hopefully, with them, trying to get reasonable frameworks in place. I'm a huge ISO 42001 advocate, but them leveraging that actual governance of it is also going to be very helpful, because the wrong data will not be as accessible.
Great. Thank you so much. Well, as we start to wrap this up, I do want to take a moment to really thank you, Kinney. Cisco and XenTegra and the partnership is paramount. We are a tightly coupled partnership together, and obviously our focus is to help deliver where businesses should go next. And I can't wait. There's so many things to really kind of unpack here. I can't wait till our next episode to really dive a little bit deeper into a lot of these topics. And I just look forward to it so much. Thank you, Kinney. Thank you, LeeAnn, so very much.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you, Kinney, for being on. I definitely look forward to talking with you in more of these. And thank you for joining us, everyone.